Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us at the 10K Project for another Bet on Black pitch. We are joined here with Mr. Lanier Richardson with Edmondson Village. He's going to tell us all about what they are doing, and it's going to be exciting tonight. As you guys know from your reminder text message, this is a real estate opportunity. Everybody loves a good real estate deal. So Lanier is going to tell us what he is doing, him and his team. So I want to welcome everyone here. To all of you who are watching the replay, thank you for clicking on the replay and watching it, and hopefully next time you can come hang out with us live. With that said, I am going to share my screen and go to the campaign page. This campaign is on smallchange.co. We've been here a couple of times before. Small Change is typically where real estate opportunities are housed in the equity crowdfunding space. It's a very good site. It's very easy to navigate this site. It's one of my favorite sites because it really is so easy to navigate, and it's pretty, right? The pretty orange color kind of makes you feel like you want to explore a little bit more when you're here. So this project is called Edmondson Village. It is open to everyone. It is a Reg CF. They have already raised $45,500. Their minimum goal is $100,000 and their maximum goal is $980,000. They already have 30 investors and there are 69 days left to invest. You guys know how I feel about the time frame. So even though it's 69 days left to invest, that don't mean you're going to take 68 days if you want to invest. So make sure that you guys are acting if you want to do this, and acting fast. Because remember, I always tell you, at any point in time, the founders can meet their maximum goal, and they're not only raising money on the portal. Many of them are getting money coming in from other ways as well. And so they may get to their maximum amount needed well before their deadline's up. And so in this case, well before 69 days, Lanier may be able to meet his goal. And if you wanted to get in on this, you would have missed it. But just be mindful of that. The minimum is $1,000. The offering highlights 49% cash flow, 49% profit share. This is a Black-owned business. It's preferred equity. It is a long-term investment horizon. And the deal closes on April 30th, which is the 69 days. Again, I always share how important it is to look through the entire campaign page. The founders spend so much time making sure they have all the pertinent information that they know you need to see, that they know you want to see in order to make an informed decision. So you want to make sure you go through all of that, right? Right here, you'll see the legal documents. You definitely want to look at those. Those are the documents that are going to help you do some of your due diligence. And so you want to look at those documents in detail. Okay. With that said, I am going to stop sharing. And Mr. Richardson, I am going to turn it over to you to tell us all about who you are, how long you've been doing this, and then, of course, to tell us about Edmondson Village and the project.
It's my pleasure. Thank you for the opportunity to present to the group. I've been looking forward to this opportunity all day long. I want to share a PowerPoint presentation. I'll run through it pretty rapidly, and then be ready for any questions that may come up. So let me do that. Hold on one second. All right, can you see my screen? I just want to make sure. Chicago Trend Corporation. Great. So as I was introduced, I'm Lanier Richardson. I'm the CEO of Chicago Trend Corporation. Our business was founded in 2016 as a social enterprise, which means our goal is to figure out a way to strengthen neighborhoods by catalyzing and accelerating retail development. We were started with about $5 million of grant support from two leading foundations, the Chicago Community Trust and the MacArthur Foundation. Over the years, we've gotten other support from other large philanthropy, Rockefeller Foundation, JP Morgan Chase, Certain Foundation, and others. The origin story for our company is that the MacArthur Foundation, this initially started as a research project. The request was so many communities of color. The commercial corridor is your first impression of a neighborhood. If the shopping center or the commercial strip is run down, dollar stores, liquor stores, even if the housing is strong, it gives you a negative perception of the neighborhood. And really, if the retail is in bad shape, it actually becomes a liability for the neighborhood. It brings down values, it attracts crime and other civil disobedience. And so the initial focus was, where MacArthur Foundation, where should we put our capital to strengthen retail? Every community wants a sit-down restaurant or a coffee shop or a grocery store. We just want to put our dollars where they would matter. And so we, after 2 years of research, got the initial seed investment from the MacArthur Foundation with the mission. Can you find opportunities to do commercial development that will strengthen neighborhoods, empower local opportunity and drive growth? That's how we started our business. This is the best picture I ever took, so I put it in every presentation. It tells you about, just summary my career. I started my career as a bank lawyer. Every day, about 2 PM, I'd fall asleep at my desk. The work was boring to me. We'd be making a $100 million loan to a large publicly traded company. And it wasn't until I got an opportunity to do a pro bono assignment where the big bank was loaning $100,000 to a barber who was buying his building on the west side of Chicago, not far from where I grew up, that the work has meaning. And ever since that day, I've been chasing that same feeling. And I can articulate it now in a way that I couldn't in my 20s. Getting resources to people and places that other people overlook or undervalue, that's what I enjoy. And I left the bank shortly thereafter. I initially worked for a guy who was building homes on the south and west side of Chicago. I did that for a few years and I left and I started my own firm. I developed over 300 single family homes and townhomes in Chicago. I was a young entrepreneur of the year when the SBA, awarded by the SBA when I was a young entrepreneur. I then sold the company Lakeshore Development and went and worked for General Growth Properties, which was the second largest owner, developer, and manager of shopping centers in the country. And my job was to convince retailers that they should do new stores in urban neighborhoods. And I did projects in Baltimore. It was the first Target in the city of Baltimore, a grocery store, TGI Fridays. I did similar projects in Birmingham, Alabama, in Detroit, at 8 Mile and Woodward. All these things were convincing retailers that they should see opportunity and open stores in communities of color. In 2009, General Growth was, financial crisis, and General Growth was the poster child. And so all of us in development got laid off. I moved to Newark, New Jersey, and headed the Economic Development Corporation when Cory Booker was mayor. So I worked with Mayor Booker and in Newark for about 5 years. And then when Mayor Booker became Senator Booker, I worked for a while with the new mayor, Ras Baraka, great experience. And then ultimately started Chicago Trend and started my career at Rutgers Business School. I'm a full-time professor there. I also run an entrepreneurship center. So this work of both doing community development, advocating for community development, researching community development, again, this is my passion. My co-founder is a guy named Bob Weisbord. 30 years ago, when I was a young entrepreneur, Bob worked at Shore Bank. And Shore Bank made me my first loan, and we kept in touch over many years. Bob is a noted economic development thinker, really focuses his early work on how neighborhoods change over time. He created this theory called the dynamic neighborhood typology. Bob has formed a lot of organizations and really gave me this opportunity to lead this organization. It's largely passive in our day-to-day activities, but really has been a door opener and help a strategist in helping us decide where to move. I have a team of about 6 people. I just highlighted Will McIntosh. Will is a young guy who came to me and said, man, I really like what you're doing. And he volunteered for a few months. Will had over 7 years of experience at PNC Bank. So he brought a banking, he does our financial underwriting. He works on our small business, strategy work. A good guy. We have another guy, Justin Terry, who's a lawyer. Michelle Merritt, who's done a lot of our community development and works on our advisory service work. So we really have a strong team. Initially, with the MacArthur Capital, we invested about $11 million in neighborhoods, in projects in Chicago. Everything from a co-working and coffee shop space to we loaned $1 million to a development team that included Harry Lennox, I always say the light-skinned brother from the Five Heartbeats, that is doing a significant project in Bronzeville neighborhood of Chicago. We've done, more than 11 projects, averaging $700,000-800,000 every time we made an investment. Then 2020 happened, and I called it the year of the pandemic, the protests, and political pandemonium. And we had to figure out how we might do our work differently. I started doing advisory services work, helping small businesses stay open, largely Black-owned business. BEST stands for Black Entrepreneurs Survive and Thrive. We've been the intel inside for a lot of big philanthropy and significantly awarding grant money to neighborhood development and Black-led initiatives. And then the inclusive commercial shopping center work is what I really want to talk about and what our project is about. Right after George Floyd was murdered, there was civil unrest, looting in some of the neighborhoods where we had been doing our work. And I remember seeing this brother standing in front of a store saying, don't destroy this store, it's a Black-owned business. And I remember thinking, who owns the shopping center? Like, he was standing in front of it. So all this time, we've been helping people open stores. But I remember thinking, well, who owns the commercial real estate? And I put together this little strategy of, why don't we buy shopping centers that are intentionally in majority Black neighborhoods, that are neighborhoods we call on the cusp of change. Either they're about to decline if nothing happens, or ideally they're about to appreciate. We want to position people to appreciate. Using my general growth experience, we buy retail that has visibility, access, and parking at compelling prices. We try to buy at 8 cap or 10 cap on current NOI. And our tenants are what I call non-Amazonable. So we don't own Best Buy and West Elm and the Cheesecake Factory. The centers we own, as you will see, are service-oriented, healthcare. 20% of our tenants are healthcare, carry-out pizza, the business services, UPS store, dentist office, things that we go to. And even during the worst part of the pandemic, our centers continue to do well because they were necessity and related. So as I mentioned, what was clear is that people of color, I didn't know, I've been in the business 30 years, and I didn't know anybody Black that owned a shopping center, right? And there was all this talk about closing the racial wealth gap. And, we go past these shopping centers every day, and I remember nobody Black. I didn't know anybody Black that owned it. I didn't know anyone Black that managed it or leased it. And it hit me like a ton of rocks that if everybody's talking about closing the racial wealth gap, wealth is created by owning assets that generate revenue, assets that appreciate over time. And so our strategy became, let's do the work. We're going to find opportunities using the same skills we've been doing as sort of a lender and investor, do the underwriting, structure the financing, do the due diligence, look at a variety of centers and figure out which one made sense. And then determine how much equity was really needed, $1 million, $200,000, $500,000. And for a short period of time, intentionally invite Black, local, and other impact investors to invest along with us after we've done the work on the same terms that we do. We own 4 shopping centers today. In Chicago, we own a shopping center in the western suburbs. We bought for a little over $1 million. We have had it, when we bought it was 40% vacant, but it became our test case. It's now 93% occupied. We have a Black property manager and a Black leasing agent. We had to get the roof repaired. We hired a Black roofer. We were building out a space. We found a Black architect. Even the landscaper is Black. Now, I tell people all the time that my strategy of intentionally inclusive doesn't mean exclusive, doesn't mean we won't hire anybody that's not African-American to work on our properties, but our strategy is to tap our networks and to be intentional about giving people of color an opportunity. Today, this is 93% occupied. My recent story with this property, there's a Black-owned ice cream store here that we helped to open. And Michelle Obama went to the ice cream store and tweeted from it. And it was a fun day to watch that. This is our second center that we own, which is a middle-class neighborhood of Chatham in Chicago. We bought this in late 2020. We bought it for about a little less than $2 million. We have valuations of anywhere from 3.2 to $3.5 million. This vacant space that you see on the screen here was initially, a vacant. I got to update this picture now because we loaned and gave him opportunity as a Black-owned UPS store franchisee. So this center now has a dentist. It has Boost Mobile, as you see. It has a Black-owned UPS store. It has an Athletico. It's doing really well. Similarly, we have Black investors that own 49% of the equity. We have a Black leasing agent and property manager. Similarly, at 2111 South State, this is the South Loop of Chicago. Rapidly transitioning, we call it gentrifying. If you've been to Chicago, this is right by the Chicago Bears Stadium or McCormick Place, mixed-use building. Here we have 2 Black-owned tenants. We're about to sign our 3rd Black-owned tenant. There's a co-working and coffee shop here. One of the entrepreneurs owns 16% of the equity. Same way, Black leasing agent, Black property manager, working on our projects. The 4th center is in Baltimore. So it was my first time back in Baltimore after having worked there. We bought a center in April of 2021, where we had with about 50,000 square feet. And when I first looked at the shopping center, I wasn't really excited about it. It had a dirty dollar store, check cashing, rent-a-center, right? The sort of trifecta of extractive tenants. But over time, I started to believe. I talked to the city. They told us they would, be supportive of the project. There's a Rite Aid here. There's a grocery store here. And, the early conversations were around would they stay, and if we improved it, would they improve their store? Took us about 18 months, but we now have $1.6 million, really $1.7 million of grant support from the city of Baltimore and the state of Maryland to do the facade improvements, to do the renovations, to do security and safety programs and youth violence prevention programs to really make this a community-owned shopping center. We're really excited about that. We had a same small change. We got 130 Black local and small investors, people, with $1,000 that grandmothers and senior citizens, to some celebrities that you would know that have invested over $30,000. So this really all came together in a way that we were excited about. 53% of our investors are Black. Again, we make this opportunity. I do these programs because I really want to help more people of color have an ownership stake in commercial real estate. People told us why they invested. I want to earn a return. I believe in community ownership. I want to support the goal of improving the shopping center. I want to strengthen the neighborhood. I live nearby. I did presentations like this to charter school parents at breakfast, at lunch, and dinner, and a couple of them invested. My favorite line in all the charts is just to support Lanier Richardson. So that line, it helps to have some friends. But this shows you why people believe. The offering we're going to talk about tonight is called Edmondson Village Shopping Center. When this center was open, it was, sort of iconic. Right? It was a movie theater, a sit-down restaurant. There was a pet shop, and there was a shoe store that used to have, animals in the window that people would come to. There was a department store across the street. Over the years, the shopping center has declined. And, it's so much so that less than 2 months ago, there was a shooting in the parking lot. There's drug dealing in the parking lot. A 16-year-old life was taken. Our vision is that with a big investment, with local and community ownership, with partnerships with the the city of Baltimore and local stakeholders, we can modernize this asset and, as you see, reimagine, redevelop, reposition it. Our strategy here is we're going to complete the purchase. We're going to buy the shopping center between now and the end of April. This, we have a contract to purchase it. We've lined up the first mortgage and all of our resources. This is a period where for the next 30 to 60 days, we're intentionally creating this space and inviting Black, local, and small investors to have an ownership stake here. We're initially start making repairs. We have capital already lined up to make critical repairs and do the site improvements. We have great conversations going on, including some letter of intents with new retailers who see the vision, will enhance the security, management, bring back Christmas lights, things of that sort. And then ultimately there's a site that we can provide senior housing. This is a multi-year, multi-phase project. So if you invest here, this is going to be, it's a 7 to 10 year investment hold period. And you're doing it both because we expect to earn a return. That's all I always tell people. We're investing our own equity, and we're investing our equity believing we're investing about $1 million. If we're right, we think we're going to get a 5x multiple. And so we're offering that same opportunity and that same expectation of a capital return to our investors. And we'll do this over, stabilize, redevelop, replace the demolished stores, ultimately develop senior housing. There's a complication here where there's some local residents. When this center was built in 1947, it had restrictive covenants, one of which, can't sell the property to Black people, right? To Negroes, as the covenant said. But over time, this is now a largely African-American community. And we had to just go, there's 119 parcel owners. We've had to get 59 of them to say, I'm okay with redeveloping the shopping center that in the way that you want to do it. And we're working that strategy, every day, amending the covenants to allow us to do the redevelopment of the shopping center in a first-class way. As I mentioned, multi-year, multi-phase. You'll see the video on the Small Change website, but we took this shot just to give you a sense of each phase. There's a pad sites, there's infilling the existing shopping center, there's developing residential in the rear. We have a strong team of advisors, paid advisors, and other people that have helped us, right? Legal counsel, Ballard Spahr is one of the leading law firms in Baltimore. We have a new market tax credit consultant, a Latinx-owned company. Jeff Monhay is a noted national expert in new market tax credit advisory. The City of Baltimore's Neighborhood Impact Investment Fund, the shopping center industry. We have a strong advisory services team. And I tell people this is about also strengthening the neighborhood, back to our mission, attracting quality retailers, not $5 stores and check cashing, attracting quality retailers. And I, in my role at General Growth, have the relationships and the experience in the industry to be able to have those retailer conversations, right? We believe if the shopping center is stronger, that home values will appreciate, and the perception of the neighborhood. 40,000 cars pass this shopping center every day. There's no place, if you and I wanted to meet right now in West Baltimore to have a coffee or a sit-down restaurant that is national, there's no place to do that. And we believe we can get national retailers back here, enhance the security and safety, just as we've done in our other centers, create opportunities for Black-owned businesses to be tenants, sensitive to construction and permanent jobs and professional services. So, a variety of community benefits over time. This is what we think it will look like. Blending the old and the new. So the old is the Williamsburg Colonial red brick, but then we found an architect that is specialized in creating synergy between the modern retail buildings that the retailers, national retailers insist on, but also, blending it in a way that creates something special here. As you can see, this is a big budget. It's a $40 million plus shopping center redevelopment and repositioning. We have some really exciting retail conversations going on. This is Small Change. We launched it and opened it up for local investment. We have here, and I should mention, a minimum and a maximum. So, we have the financial wherewithal to be able to acquire the shopping center. So this is not about, we absolutely need, your investment to be able to complete this transaction. This is about, we're inviting you to have an ownership stake in a good shopping center deal, right? And so once we get above $100,000 of our raise, it's we made it $100,000 minimum and a $980,000, sort of maximum is up to as little as 5% of the equity and as much as 49% of the equity is available. Last time around, there were a couple positive stories, and within 6 weeks we were fully subscribed. And we're anticipating that same type of reaction here, that over the next month or so, we always say it's sort of first come, first serve. We're going to get certainly going to meet our minimum investment amount, and we're going to, raise what we can in the next sort of 30, 60 days, and then make the decision when we'll, stop the campaign and go ahead and complete the acquisition. So that's our presentation there. We're intentionally inviting Black, local, small dollar investors to have an ownership stake in commercial real estate. We'll, throughout the process, answer questions. You'll see our pro forma. You'll get our K1s. It's one of those things where this is about, sort of building and sort of, sharing what it means to own commercial real estate and both build wealth and strengthen the neighborhood at the same time. So I want to thank you all for the opportunity. I look forward to the questions.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Lanier. What a career, first of all, and what a compliment to have a vision, right? To have this thought about who owns the shopping center, and then to immediately start doing something about it, right? I mean, congratulations. What a big accomplishment. I mean, we think about, 2019 and 2020, it's only the beginning of 2023, and to know you've done so much in that time, just this is a big deal. This is a testament to the type of founder that you are. And so thank you for bringing this opportunity to the everyday investor, because we appreciate it. We know that we don't get these opportunities every day. And even to hear you say, you're going to fund this no matter what, right? This is going to happen. To know that we have an opportunity to get in on something like this is a big deal. So thank you for that. This is the time where we open it up to questions from the community. You guys know what to do. If you're new here, go ahead and put your question in the Q&A section. If you can avoid putting them in the chat, that would be nice, only because the chat gets to moving so fast sometimes. We don't want to miss not one question. The commitment. And
thank you all. I see helpful and supportive comments in the chat. Thank you for that. This work is hard. So anybody that says a positive thing is like an energy boost. So I appreciate you all.
They're going to show you some love at 10K for sure. They're going to show you some love. Very, very good. I see some questions popping in. Deshaun Davis says, how much for 1% of equity, of the equity?
So if you think about it, where there's 2 million shares, 49% of the 51% of the equity we're investing with our own company, sort of reserving. So each there's for $980,000, there's that's 49% of the equity. So again, 1% of the equity here is a little less than $10,000.
Olivia said, is the development only in Chicago? Is there any operatives to spread nationally? And so yes. This particular property is in Baltimore.
That's correct. So we own right now 3 shopping centers in Chicago, 1 in Baltimore. We have a shopping center under contract now in Columbus, Ohio. And our goal is we raised enough capital to buy 12 additional shopping centers. And we are looking for opportunities in other places, but still with a very disciplined, strategy of intentionally Black neighborhoods, intentionally dense areas, where retail will make a difference.
Very good. Jesse said, congratulations. If upscale tenants are desired, how will seniors from housing you will build on a fixed income be able to shop locally?
Yeah, so, and I'll make the distinction. quality versus upscale. So, in our communities, a dollar store, check cashing, rent a center, um, liquor store, check cashing, dialysis center, right? That's what has found this way in our community, and they pay high rents, right? But this challenge of being able to find services that are desirable, right? I mentioned the ice cream store. We have an ear doctor in one of our centers. We have a pediatric dentist in one of our shopping centers. Rite Aid, a drugstore. We're negotiating with a grocery store. You would know that is, still sort of confidential. And so, it's quality and community, a UPS store, Black-owned, a co-working coffee shop, Black-owned store, right? That's the aim. So quality that can serve low income, that will be utilized by middle income, and that high income can find opportunity there is really, really our aim. So we're hoping that the seniors who ultimately will live in senior housing, they'll go to the drugstore, they'll go to, the sit-down restaurant and buy a burrito from Chipotle, or sit down and have coffee in the coffee shop.
Very good. Lisa said, I've been thinking about doing this in my area. Are you open to partnerships?
Absolutely. So as I said, we have a vision to acquire and capital to acquire 12 additional shopping centers. I certainly would be willing to do that.
Very nice. How can Lisa get a hold of you?
Yep, I'll put my contact information in the chat before we off, but I'm at, L Richardson at ChicagoTrend, TREND.com, but I'll put that in the contact. LinkedIn, please connect with me on LinkedIn, and easy enough to be able to follow up as well. I'm Lanier Richardson on LinkedIn.
Very good. Jesse said, what metrics are used to determine that 53% of investors are Black? Are you using
we surveyed the investors. So once we, once you register, once the people who've invested with us, at the end of the investment period, we surveyed them. We said, would you tell us why'd you invest, race and ethnicity? So that's self-reported of people saying, I'm a person of color and I invested. So that's how we got that data, by asking folks directly.
Very good. Rain said, is this raise considered an ECF raise or real estate syndication, or a combination of both?
So I'm not sure. So this is maybe ECF. Reg CF is the regulation crowdfunding. This is a Reg CF investment. I think that's the answer to that question. I don't know the real estate syndication or combination of both. Real estate syndication may be a private sort of, you're inviting smaller folks and trying to do a raise, but this is a regulation CF investment registered with the SEC and on the small change investment platform.
Very good. And Rain, if we misunderstood your question, please feel free to rephrase it, and then we'll address it again. Sylvia says, good evening, congratulations. She says, my Q&A is hold on. Is the equity in shares for the $1,000 minimum? I've joined, so I may not, she joined late, so she may not have heard during the pitch. So the first question I think she's asking is, so if you can go over the deal terms, let's maybe make it clear.
And some of this, because of the SEC and regulation crowdfunding rule, my answer has to be, please go to the investment platform. That's the whole theory of SEC is, I'm not saying one thing to one group and saying something to another group, or saying something to seniors and saying something. So all of the deal terms are on regulation on the small change website. This is the first answer. But it is $1,000 minimum. And if you're a non-accredited investor, you can invest up to $2,200. If you're an accredited investor, you can invest more. That is on the platform. And then the second question about internet shopping, Sylvia, so the way I described it earlier is we have, our strategy is services that are, and this is a term of art, I call it non-Amazonable. So I joke that Amazon doesn't do haircuts and doesn't do manicures yet, right? But it's the place where you can get carry-out pizza, your dentist, the local drugstore, We have ice cream stores, so it's the community serving retail, both services and amenities that, make a neighborhood, that add vitality to a neighborhood.
So Lanier, here at the 10K project, we pride ourselves at making connections. And so you're probably seeing in the chat some comments that may not make a lot of sense. So what the community loves to do is connect founders together that have pitched here. And so I see someone saying, Jackie said the co-op would be a great connection. It just so happens that Mr. Tannen Andrews is in our chat. He has an amazing cooperative where they also acquire real estate. And so I'm going to make that connection because I do feel like the two of you need to have a conversation. And then also there's a comment in here that a Creepy coffee shop would be amazing to go into one of your, and it's the best coffee in the history of the world. Okay.
We'll create an opportunity for them. We've done that.
And so I'm gonna make those connections as well. So I'll be sending you and Tannen an introduction, and then also you and Jacques an introduction. So thank you guys for that in the chat. Stephen said, I hear long-term as an investor. Help me understand long-term, 10 years, 20 years, more or less. I understand the investment part, but I would want to have my mind at ease, define long-term.
Thank you. So thank you for that question. So our long-term this is a minimum of 5-year and a maximum of 10-year hold period. We think it's a 7 to 10-year hold period. That means, we'll complete the renovation over the next 3 to 4 years. You stabilize the shopping center. Ideally, we look for an opportunity to refinance, maybe pull our cash and our equity out. But ultimately, we got to exit. So it's either selling to, another entity that might, our vision is maybe a sort of a REIT that, has all of the shopping centers we own and have institutional investors and private sector investors and community investors. That's our dream. Or just selling to, another owner that we believe both would be responsible, but also would pay us, a attractive price to be able to achieve, the investment returns that we desire. So this is a maximum of a 10-year hold period, not more than that.
Very good. And we did answer Rain's question, and Rain says, Chi-Town, stand up.
Chi-Town, stand up. Thank you, Rain.
Jesse said, is there a marketing via the new architecture that will let consumers other than local know that the center is Black owned and operated, such as an African look or Black cultural look?
At this point, we are not opposed to that. At this point, we don't have that in our plan. So it really is about identifying, as you can imagine, we want a shopping center that financially performs, that feels inviting to a broad cross sector. As I said, 40,000 cars pass this shopping center every day. Most people are going home to the suburbs, right? This is before you leave the shopping center. We have demonstrated, so this is not about what we think we're going to do. We've helped Black-owned businesses open. We had a Black-owned co-working and coffee shop. We had a Black-owned ice cream store. We have a Black-owned UPS store, franchisee. So hopefully we can create that feeling of Black ownership and cultural connections through the entrepreneurs who operate businesses in the shopping center.
Very good. Wade said, good evening, Mr. Richardson. Thank you for providing the opportunity to share in your vision. You appear to be very passionate about Black commercial ownership. Is this business model equally emphatic about Black tenant ownership within the mall itself?
Yeah, thank you for that question. It's the way I would describe it is a dual strategy. So our first responsibility is to develop a first-class shopping center. Our second responsibility is to develop a shopping center that is profitable, right? If it's not profitable, it won't work for any of us, right? And so our objective is, again, as is demonstrated, is we've hired Black professionals, we've created opportunity, even special financing for Black tenants. And so our goal really is to create that opportunity, but, and we're going to work it all, at all angles. So to the extent that there are Black retailers, that have, we've had some strategy of finding, attractive Black-owned business and helping them open their second store in our shopping center, giving them extra time, giving some money to build out. So if you know Black-owned entrepreneurs, if there's some startups that have the business plan and the right strategy, we believe will be successful and be able to pay the rent and stay open and operate responsibly, yes, we want to create opportunities for them.
Nice. Christopher says, I love this so much. Coming from Chicago, this is huge, and it's needed across the multiple neighborhoods. The revitalization in the Chi is long overdue.
Thank you, man. Appreciate the love. Thank you.
Eddie said, hi, Lanier, amazing movement you have. Nothing but love and blessings for you here at the 10K. Kindly explain the ROI expectation, short and long term, for one of us who partners with you in investment.
Yes, and again, it's a tricky line, and I hate this line because it sounds like I don't want to answer the questions. I hate this line, but because of the SEC rules, my first responsibility is to say, please look at the income statement and the small change regulation CF platform. It's a fine line I have to walk, right? And the way I have been answering these questions for everyone else is, we're investing over $1 million of our own capital. And we're investing with the expectation that we will earn a 20% plus IRR, of as much as a 5X multiple. That's our expectation, right? It's not a promise of a return, all my SEC disclosures, right? Mm-hmm. And we're offering the opportunity for you to invest on the same terms as we do, right? That information is on the small change site. That's the finest way I can walk that line without, getting, in trouble with the Securities and Exchange Commission. So I hope that is helpful.
That's a helpful answer, and we agree that we want you to be very safe in the way you answer this. We don't want no problems, right? We want this opportunity to be full and in a full effect. So we don't want any problems from the SEC. So guys, that's why we start with the campaign page, right? That's why we kind of take you through a little bit of the navigation. That's why I tell you, read every word on the website so that you can get those answers to the questions. The thing that I didn't show you today that I usually show you, and I apologize, is every portal has the ability for you to ask questions within the discussion thread directly on the site, right? Where the founders answer your questions there. So you also have any questions outside of what you think of this evening, then you can always post them there, and Lanier or someone on his team will answer them. And that way everybody sees the question and the answer as well, right? And it's a lot to learn when you look at those questions, because others may have asked questions that you didn't yet think about. And so you can see what answers they received as well. So always make sure you spend time on that campaign page. Raphael Husband says, what extra initiatives are you planning if you hit the max 980K raise? Or do you already have the full 980 in funding lined up already outside of this campaign?
Do you already have, I missed the last part, or do you have?
Hold on, let's put the question back. Sorry, we moved it too fast.
Yeah, sorry about that. So we raised capital. I mentioned at the top of the word, we've raised a small fund to allow us to buy 12 other shopping centers. And the way we raised those capital funds is, I told the question that we wanted to help more people of color have an ownership stake in commercial property. So if as little as 5% of equity is raised from local investors, we can put in all the rest of the money and acquire the shopping center. So that's why here we projected that $2 million of equity is needed. If we raise $100,000, we could, in theory, close the, not in theory, we could close the campaign and go ahead and complete the acquisition. But the goal really is to try to find more, as much as 49% of the ownership being available to local entrepreneurs, local investors, impact investors, Black investors from across the country that want to earn a return and strengthen the neighborhood at the same time. So, if we raise $100,000, we're going to close the crowdfunding campaign, and we can't close the campaign. If we start to get momentum and, we raise $700,000, $800,000, we'll be happy to have it, and we'll be working hard to get people their return on investment. Hope that answers the question.
Very good. Lorraine says, any future plans to invest in Philly?
If we could find a shopping center in Philly and could find, the same sort of that's consistent with our strategy, absolutely.
Jackie said, have you or are you considering having a staffing agency located in a shopping center?
Yeah, if we could find a staffing center, absolutely. Right? It's that has operating history, will operate in a way that's quality, this Black owned, or not. Yes, again, we're trying to, that's an example of service oriented tenant that would hire locally, help people locally get opportunities, but also be a value add to our shopping center. So if you have a connection to Hire Runner or Relay on Demand or Howland, the app, I would love to be connected with them and have our leasing team to follow up.
Very good. Stephen said, how's the tenant process narrowed down? I love and hear Black, but will the tenant process be credit worthy, driven? And if so, that eases my mind as an investor.
So as I said, our first responsibility is to a quality shopping center that will be profitable. So that approach of getting an application for a tenant, understanding how they operate, do they have an existing location? We get financial information from the tenants. We understand if they need some investment, can we help them? The whole strategy is we want to have tenants that will operate here profitably. If people operate profitably, they'll pay the rent, they'll be successful. So the first objective is to have a shopping center that financially performs. And we do all of this extra effort to try to create opportunity for Black people to be tenants, to be property managers, to be leasing agents, and to be owners as well.
Very good. Very good. Any other questions for Lanier?
Thank you all for listening. I invite you to, last little story I'll tell. My nephew was in a Little League baseball team, and they had a parade in Harlem. And we were walking down the street, and my brother had deposited, he had a piggy bank, he deposited whatever, $1,000 or so, $800 or so into the bank. And as we walked past there with Little League parade, he pointed at the bank. He was like, I own that bank. Because he had his $800 savings on deposit there, he felt a connection to that bank. That's the thesis of our work. We want people of color to feel like I own something in our communities. I'm responsible for making it better. I have this dream of having a hashtag called #WOT. We own that. And the we is not just the 100 people that invested. It's I went to school with Tawana. That was my fraternity brother. That's my uncle. We have an ownership stake there in a way, whether it's $1,000 or $10,000, that gets us a return, but also connects us to owning assets in our community.
Yeah, so that's a different kind of pride.
Exactly.
It really is. It absolutely is. Dinah says, great vision and presentation. Have any town hall or community engagement events been held to assess the type of businesses existing community members want to see in the shopping center to ensure a good fit for the community and success for the business owners?
We've had early community presentations. We will do more after we own the shopping center. We have a survey that we send out as well that both helps us understand what the community wants, but really the survey has an equally important purpose of being able to help us make the case to retailers, right? So it's like, hey, we surveyed 18,000 people in this neighborhood. They all say they want a TGI Fridays, right? It helps us to then use that data to make the connection and the persuasive case with TGI Fridays. So that is definitely a part of our strategy. Thank you for that.
Very, very good. Very, very nice. Kathleen, if you want to send an email to me at info@the10kproject.com, I can answer your question and help you get into the directory so that you can put your business information there. All right. Any other questions for Lanier? All right, I'm going to give my final thoughts. If you guys think of any questions, go ahead and put them in there. Oh, we got some. Okay, hold on. So I won't give my final thoughts yet. Rain says, hello, Mr. Richardson, and thank you for your hard work in community development. You mentioned that your exit strategy is to be acquired by a larger owner or public REIT, etc. Will dividends be paid out to shareholders?
Yeah, so the way this, again, you're owning equity into this, into this shopping center, right? So when the next, when there's, NOI, distributable cash, every year we distribute that cash. Everyone gets a K1 and, gets your return. But when we sell, it's the same thing. You're an equity owner. So if we sold it, we bought it for $1 million and we sold it for $2 million, and you own 1 or 2% of that stock, you get that return, on the same basis. So yes, when we win, you win as well.
Very good. Stephen says, this is really good. I've been kind of reserved to commercial real estate, but this really pushes me up the ladder a bit. Okay.
Thank you. Give us a try and please share the link. If there's any interest in terms, this is a easy way to understand, or an approachable way to understand commercial real estate, lease terms, cap rates, exit strategies, and to be involved in a noteworthy project. This is an interesting way to do it. I got to choose my words on the SEC words. So I'm going to say a low risk way, but I don't want the SEC to be mad. This is an impactful way to both strengthen communities and earn a return.
Yeah, and Edward is quoting me. I always say, share the heck out of this campaign link. Put it everywhere. Put it every single place you can think of. You go in some big groups that happen to be about real estate or not. Say, hey, check out what's going on and what opportunity is out here for our people. Put this link everywhere and then let people make the decision for themselves. But our job is to share the campaign link, right? And obviously do our due diligence to see if it fits in our portfolio individually. But more than anything else, our founders need exposure, right? And we know that our people need access. And so our mission is to show up for presentations like this, right? Or click on the replay and watch it. But more than anything else, to help the founders get the exposure so that they can change lives, right? Because Lanier, what he didn't talk about and what we know to be true is all of those businesses have employees. More than likely, the employees come from the communities where those businesses are, right? So that's our young people off of the street. That's our, people who can't find gainful employment, and sometimes have to go all the way across town to do so. They get to be close to home and be able to take care of their families. And so this is really more than just real estate. And so, to be able to have this kind of an opportunity in our communities is an absolutely amazing thing. And so we need to tell the world about this. So please share this campaign link. Obviously, we're going to be sharing it at the 10K Project, but we can make a bigger impact if all of you share it as well. Wade said, using Atlanta, Georgia as a case study for Black ownership intentions versus the long-term realization, I would need to hear a more robust long-term approach to insulate the Black ownership concept from outliers takeover.
Yeah. So the way I think about an exit, you gotta be able, the way we get a return on our investment is you gotta exit at some point, right? And so we have, as part of our strategy, trying to figure out how do we create an exit that also ensures long-term ownership. So when I talk about our REIT strategy is, could we form a REIT that would allow not just to be ownership of this shopping center, but to have a little ownership stake in the multiple properties, but also get private sector and even, as I think you mentioned, the outliers or the, investors as well. So we got to have an exit. Just as we're intentional about creating ownership and creating Black tenants and creating opportunities for Black professional services, that's our, we've demonstrated that intent. And I think when we exit, we're going to try to figure out how to exit in a responsible way as well.
I just had a thought that made me laugh. I would pay money to be a fly on the wall when you and Tannen get together and have conversation. Man.
All right, I look forward to meeting Tannen.
Man, I wish I could listen to this conversation y'all about to have. Oh, two amazing Black men. Goosebumps. Very, very good. All right. Any other questions, guys? Any other questions? We know the assignment, right? We know why we're here. We are here because we want to intentionally invest Black. We are here because we support Black business and entrepreneurship. And we are here because we want to support this Black founder. So please consider adding this to your investment. I am not a financial advisor. This is not financial advice. Make that decision for yourself. If you want to add this to your portfolio, do your due diligence. Always tell you that, right? But more than anything else, please share the campaign link. And with that said, Lanier, what are your final words to the community?
Please check out the video and please share the campaign link. It gives you a sense of who we are, what our vision is. I really thank you all for showing up. Thank you all for being investors. I'm a member of the 10K community. I've also invested in companies led by people of color, and this gives me life. And so thank you all.
Very, very good. Well, we appreciate you. And if there are no other questions, I don't want to prematurely stop it. If you guys have any final questions, if not, remember you can go to thesmallchange.co. Go ahead and grab the link. If you guys want to go ahead and grab the link, put it on your desktop, share it in your favorites real quick so that you can have it to go back to and you can have it to share. So go ahead and grab that right now so you can all have it.
And thank you, Angela, and everybody else who made a supportive comment. I appreciate it.
Nice. You guys will get the replay. We'll wait till this recording renders. We hope to get that out to you this evening. And then you'll start seeing our Black chip clips across social. So as you see those, go ahead and comment underneath them because you saw the actual pitch. If you could do us a favor and comment underneath those Black chip clips. You've seen them in our Facebook group. For those of you who are on IG or Twitter, we've been putting them there. It's also on LinkedIn as well. But comment, the more comments we get, right, the algorithm kind of keeps them in view of people. And then that way, that's another way we can ensure more people get to see it. So please do that for us when you see any of our Black chip clips is what we're calling them. So make sure you comment underneath them. With that said, thank you guys. Thank you so much for your commitment to 10K Project, your commitment to Black founders and helping them successfully raise capital. I appreciate you. I know they do. And so thank you so much. Lanier, keep up the good work, sir. This is wonderful. Absolutely wonderful. Thank you for presenting this to everyday people. We appreciate it.
Thank you all. Have a great night.
Have a wonderful evening.
All right. Thank you, Tawana. I appreciate you.
Mwah.
Taking this jacket off now.
Wonderful job, sir.